Hi everyone, welcome to one of the most important lessons in our journey, core leadership principles. If leadership is a building, principles are its foundation. Skills can be learned, techniques can be copied, but principles? They shape who you are as a leader. In this lesson, I want you to think not only as managers, but as human beings who influence others every single day. Let's dive deep. Vision, seeing before others see. Every strong leader has one thing in common: clarity about where they are going. A leader without vision is like a captain without a destination. The ship may move, but it will drift. Think about a startup founder who gathers a small team and says, "In 5 years, we will transform how people learn online." At that moment, there may be no money, no investors, no recognition, but there is belief. That belief becomes direction. In everyday life, vision might look simpler: a teacher who believes her students can achieve more than they think, a team leader who sees potential in an underperforming employee, a parent who imagines a better future for their child. As a leader, ask yourself, can I clearly describe where we are going? Can my team visualize success? If they cannot see it, they cannot follow it. Integrity, the non-negotiable principle. Integrity means alignment between your words, actions, and values. You cannot demand honesty and then manipulate data. You cannot demand punctuality and constantly arrive late. You cannot preach teamwork and act selfishly. Let me give you a workplace example. Imagine a manager promises, "If you work hard this quarter, I will support your promotion." The team works hard, results improve, but the manager ignores the promise. What happens? Trust collapses, motivation drops, cynicism spreads. Integrity builds trust. Trust builds influence. Influence builds leadership. Without integrity, leadership becomes position-based authority. With integrity, leadership becomes voluntary followership. Responsibility, owning outcomes. Weak leaders blame, strong leaders own. When a project fails, a weak leader says, "The team didn't perform. The market conditions were bad. It wasn't my fault." A strong leader says, "What could I have done differently? Where did I fail to provide clarity or support?" Responsibility does not mean self-blame. It means ownership. Here's a powerful example. If a team misses a deadline, instead of attacking them, a responsible leader might say, "Let's analyze what happened. Did I give clear priorities? Did we have realistic timelines?" This approach builds psychological safety, and psychological safety fuels performance. Empathy, understanding before directing. Leadership is not about controlling people. It is about understanding people. Empathy means listening without interrupting, recognizing emotions, seeing situations from another perspective. Imagine a high-performing employee suddenly starts missing deadlines. A controlling leader says, "You're underperforming, fix it." An empathetic leader says, "I've noticed some changes. Is everything okay?" Maybe the employee is dealing with family issues. Maybe they are burned out. Maybe they need support, not pressure. Empathy does not mean lowering standards. It means leading humans, not machines. Communication, clarity over complexity. Leadership lives and dies in communication. You may have a brilliant strategy, but if your team does not understand it, it does not exist. Strong leaders simplify complex ideas, repeat key messages, invite questions, encourage feedback. For example, instead of saying, "We need to enhance cross-functional operational synergy," say, "Our departments need to collaborate better so we can deliver faster." Clarity creates alignment. Alignment creates execution. Consistency. Leadership is a daily habit. Leadership is not one motivational speech. It is daily behavior. You cannot inspire on Monday and disappear on Tuesday. You cannot be supportive during good times and authoritarian during crises. Consistency builds predictability. Predictability builds security. Security builds performance. Your team should know how you react to mistakes, how you make decisions, what values guide you. When your behavior is stable, people feel safe to perform. Courage. Doing the hard things. Leadership requires courage in 3 areas: decision-making under uncertainty, giving honest feedback, standing by your values. Imagine you must give critical feedback to a talented but toxic employee. It is uncomfortable. It is risky, but avoiding it damages the whole team. Courage in leadership is not aggression. It is principled action despite discomfort. Service. Leadership is not about you. One of the most powerful shifts in advanced leadership is this. Leadership is not about status. It is about service. Ask yourself daily, how can I remove obstacles for my team? How can I make their work easier? How can I help them grow? When leaders serve, teams excel. This is the mindset of servant leadership. Your success is measured by the growth of others. Growth mindset, evolving continuously. The moment a leader thinks, I know enough, decline begins. Strong leaders seek feedback, admit mistakes, invest in learning, adapt to change. Think about industries that changed rapidly: technology, media, education. Leaders who refused to adapt disappeared. Leaders who learned survived. In your own leadership journey, ask, what skills must I develop next? What blind spots might I have? Growth is not optional, it is essential. Accountability, setting standards and enforcing them. Accountability is not punishment. It is clarity about expectations and consequences. For example, clear goals, clear metrics, clear deadlines. And when standards are not met, honest conversations, constructive action plans, fair consequences. When accountability is absent, performance drops. When accountability is fair and consistent, performance rises. Bringing it all together. Let's summarize what we covered. Core leadership principles include vision, integrity, responsibility, empathy, communication, consistency, courage, service, growth, accountability. These principles work together. Remove one, and the structure weakens. A final reflection for you. I want you to reflect deeply. Which principle is your strongest? Which one needs development? How would your team describe your leadership today? Remember, leadership is not about controlling people. It is about elevating people. And true leadership mastery begins when principles guide your behavior, even when no one is watching. In this lesson, we are going to talk about something that separates average leaders from truly exceptional ones: leadership mindset and attitudes. You can learn tools, you can memorize models, you can practice techniques, but if your mindset is weak or misaligned, none of those tools will create sustainable leadership success. Leadership is not first about position. It is first about how you think and how you interpret the world. Let's go deep. What is a leadership mindset? A leadership mindset is the set of beliefs, attitudes, and internal assumptions that shape how you see yourself, see others, handle problems, respond to pressure, make decisions. Two managers can face the exact same crisis and produce completely different outcomes because their mindsets are different. Example: a project deadline is missed. Leader A says, "Who made this mistake? This is unacceptable." Leader B says, "What happened? What can we learn from this? How do we prevent it next time?" Same situation, different mindset, completely different culture impact. Fixed mindset versus growth mindset. This concept is strongly associated with Carol Dweck. Fixed mindset leader believes abilities are static, avoids risks, feels threatened by talented team members, takes feedback personally. Growth mindset leader believes skills can be developed, sees failure as data, encourages experimentation, welcomes feedback. Workplace example: a junior employee presents a weak idea. Fixed mindset leader: "This isn't good, you need more experience." Growth mindset leader: "I like your initiative, let's refine this idea together." One response shuts down initiative, the other builds future leaders. As future advanced leaders, you must operate from a growth mindset. Ownership mentality. Great leaders don't blame. They take responsibility, even when it's uncomfortable. When results are bad, weak leader blames market, economy, team. Strong leader asks, "What could I have done differently?" Ownership builds trust. Example: if your team underperforms, instead of saying, "They are not motivated," ask, "Did I communicate expectations clearly? Did I provide support? Did I remove obstacles?" This attitude transforms teams. Long-term thinking. Short-term leaders chase immediate wins. Strategic leaders think in years. A leadership mindset requires patience, discipline, strategic vision. Imagine a leader who cuts training budgets to improve quarterly profit, short-term win, long-term damage, versus a leader who invests in people development even during difficult periods. That leader builds sustainable excellence. As we discussed in other parts of this course, leadership is influence, and influence compounds over time. Emotional stability under pressure. Your team watches you, especially in crisis. If you panic, they panic. If you stay calm, they stabilize. Leadership mindset includes emotional regulation, rational decision-making, resilience. Example: a client cancels a major contract. Reaction 1: this is a disaster, everything is ruined. Reaction 2: this hurts, but we will recover. Let's focus on alternatives. Which leader would you follow? Exactly. Abundance versus scarcity thinking. Scarcity mindset. There are not enough opportunities. If they succeed, I lose. I must control everything. Abundance mindset. We can grow together. There is space for collaboration. Developing others strengthens me. Leaders with scarcity thinking micromanage. Leaders with abundance thinking empower. If you want to build strong teams, you must celebrate others' growth, not fear it. Humility with confidence. This is one of the most powerful leadership attitudes. Arrogance destroys trust. Insecurity destroys authority. Healthy leaders combine confidence in decisions, openness to correction. Example: a team member challenges your strategy in a meeting. Weak leader: are you questioning my authority? Strong leader: that's an interesting perspective. Tell me more. Confidence without ego is advanced leadership maturity. Service-oriented thinking. True leadership is not control, it is service. This idea is strongly connected to Robert K. Greenleaf and the concept of servant leadership. Ask yourself daily, how can I help my team succeed? What obstacles can I remove? How can I support their development? When leaders serve their teams, teams willingly follow. Decisiveness with accountability. A leadership mindset also includes willingness to decide, acceptance of consequences. Indecisive leaders create confusion, but decisive leaders must also say, if this fails, I take responsibility. This builds psychological safety. Your team must know you will not disappear when things go wrong. Continuous self-reflection. Advanced leaders constantly evaluate themselves. Questions you should regularly ask. Did I communicate clearly today? Did I listen enough? Did I react emotionally or strategically? Did I develop someone today? Self-reflection is leadership maturity. Final thought for you. Dear friends, leadership mindset is not developed in one day. It is built in difficult conversations, in moments of failure, in uncomfortable feedback, in personal discipline. You don't become a leader when you get a title. You become a leader when you take ownership, you think long-term, you stay calm under pressure, you develop others, you grow continuously. In this lesson, we are going to talk about something that sits at the very heart of leadership: values, integrity, and trust. If leadership is the engine of an organization, then values are the fuel, integrity is the internal mechanism, and trust is the road that allows the engine to move forward. Let's explore this deeply, with real-life examples, practical insights, and honest reflection. What are values in leadership? Values are the principles that guide your decisions, behaviors, and priorities. They answer the question, what do I stand for? As a leader, your values influence how you treat people, how you handle pressure, how you respond to conflict, what you tolerate, and what you don't. For example, if you value transparency, you will share information openly with your team. If you value respect, you won't tolerate toxic behavior, even from high performers. If you value innovation, you will encourage experimentation and accept mistakes. Let me give you a scenario. Imagine you are a department manager. Your company is under financial pressure. Senior leadership suggests cutting costs by quietly reducing employee bonuses without explanation. Now your values are tested. If one of your core values is fairness and honesty, you might say, "We will explain the situation transparently. Even if people don't like it, they deserve clarity." That decision is values-based leadership. Values are not slogans on a wall. They are visible in difficult moments. Integrity. Doing the right thing when it's hard. Integrity is the alignment between what you say, what you believe, what you do. When these three are aligned, you are operating with integrity. When they are not aligned, trust starts to erode. Let's look at an example. You tell your team, work-life balance is important, family comes first. But when someone leaves at 6 p.m., you criticize them indirectly. "Oh, half day today?" That is a gap between words and behavior, and people notice. Integrity doesn't mean perfection. It means consistency and accountability. Here's another real-world example. A project leader realizes they made a mistake that delayed delivery. Instead of blaming a junior team member, they say, "I misjudged the timeline. That's on me. Let's fix it together." What happens next? The team feels safe. Accountability culture strengthens. Respect for the leader increases. Integrity builds moral authority. Without it, positional authority becomes fragile. Trust, the currency of leadership. Trust is not automatic. It is earned, slowly, and can be lost quickly. Trust is built when people believe you are competent, you care about them, you are consistent, you are honest. Let's break this down with examples. Competence trust. If a leader constantly makes uninformed decisions, trust declines, even if they are kind. Imagine a CEO who doesn't understand the business but makes strategic decisions impulsively. People may like them personally, but they won't trust their judgment. Relational trust. Now imagine a technically brilliant leader who treats people as tools. They may deliver results short-term, but long-term, engagement collapses. Trust requires both competence and character. The connection between values, integrity, and trust. These three are not separate. Values guide behavior. Integrity ensures consistency. Trust is the outcome. If your values are unclear, your decisions become inconsistent. If integrity is weak, trust collapses. If trust collapses, leadership influence disappears. Let me give you a powerful leadership test. When you leave the room, what kind of conversations happen? If people say, "She's fair, even when it's hard. He keeps his word. I don't always agree with him, but I trust him." You are leading with values and integrity. If people say, "He says one thing and does another," don't rely on that promise. Just smile and nod. Trust is already broken. Practical leadership situations. Let's walk through practical situations you may face as future leaders. Situation 1. Promoting a friend. You have two candidates. One is your close friend. The other performs better objectively. Your value of fairness is tested. Integrity means choosing the better performer, even if it damages your friendship. Trust in your team increases when they see fairness in action. Situation 2. Confidential information. An employee shares something personal with you. Later, in a casual conversation, you almost mention it as an example. Your value of respect and confidentiality must guide you. Trust is built in silent decisions, the ones no one sees. Situation 3. Ethical pressure from above. Senior management asks you to adjust performance metrics to make results look stronger. Now integrity is on trial. Short-term compliance might protect you. Long-term integrity protects your reputation. And leadership is a long game. Why trust is a leadership multiplier. When trust is high, communication becomes faster, conflict becomes constructive, innovation increases, engagement rises, micromanagement decreases. When trust is low, meetings multiply, emails increase, defensive behavior spreads, political games start, stress increases. Trust reduces friction. High-trust teams move faster with less energy wasted on protection. Self-reflection questions for you. I want you to reflect honestly. What are your top 5 personal leadership values? When was the last time your integrity was tested? Have you ever broken someone's trust? What happened? Do people feel psychologically safe around you? Are your decisions predictable based on your values? Leadership growth begins with awareness. Building values-based leadership. Here's how you can intentionally strengthen this area. Write your leadership value statement. Communicate your values openly. Make decisions visibly aligned with them. Admit mistakes quickly. Protect fairness even when inconvenient. Never promise what you cannot deliver. Address small integrity gaps before they grow. Consistency creates credibility. Credibility creates trust. Trust creates influence. Final thought. Leadership is not measured by how many people follow you when things are easy. It is measured by how much people trust you when things are uncertain. You don't build trust with speeches. You build it with repeated, aligned actions over time. As you continue this course, remember, skills make you effective, strategy makes you competitive, but values, integrity, and trust make you respected. And respected leaders create lasting impact. Let's keep building that kind of leadership together. Emotional intelligence in leadership. If you remember from the foundation of this course, leadership is not only about strategy, vision, or decision-making. It is about people. And when we talk about people, we talk about emotions. Today, we go deeper. What is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, manage, and influence emotions, both your own and others. Unlike IQ, which measures cognitive intelligence, EQ measures emotional awareness and regulation. And here is the truth. You can be the smartest person in the room, but if you cannot manage emotions, especially under pressure, you will struggle as a leader. Research by psychologists like Daniel Goleman shows that emotional intelligence is one of the strongest predictors of leadership effectiveness. But let's move beyond theory and make this practical. The 5 core components of emotional intelligence in leadership. Self-awareness. This is your ability to understand what you are feeling, why you are feeling it, how your emotions affect your behavior, how your behavior affects others. Example, you are in a meeting. A team member challenges your strategy. An emotionally unaware leader thinks, he is disrespecting me. An emotionally intelligent leader thinks, I feel defensive right now. Why? Is it ego? Or is there something valuable in his feedback? Self-awareness creates pause. Pause creates power. Without self-awareness, leadership becomes reactive. With self-awareness, leadership becomes intentional. Self-regulation. It's not about suppressing emotions. It's about managing them appropriately. Imagine this. A project deadline is missed. Low EQ leader raises voice, blames the team, sends aggressive emails. High EQ leader acknowledges frustration, asks, what went wrong? Focuses on solution, not blame. Self-regulation protects trust. Your team watches how you behave under stress. Your emotional control becomes their psychological safety. Motivation, internal drive. Emotionally intelligent leaders are driven by purpose, not ego. They don't lead for status, they lead for impact. Example, 2 managers face the same setback. Manager A, I look bad in front of senior leadership. Manager B, what can we learn from this? How can we improve? The difference? One is ego-driven, the other is growth-driven. EQ leaders inspire resilience because they model it. Empathy. Empathy is not weakness. It is leadership strength. It is the ability to understand another person's emotional state, even if you disagree with them. Imagine an employee whose performance suddenly drops. Low EQ leader, you are underperforming, fix it. High EQ leader, I've noticed a change. Is everything okay? You might discover family issues, health challenges, burnout, loss of motivation. Empathy does not remove accountability, it improves the path toward it. When people feel understood, they become more open to feedback. Social skills. This is where emotional intelligence becomes visible. Socially intelligent leaders build strong relationships, manage conflict constructively, communicate clearly, influence without manipulation, create collaboration. Leadership is a social activity. You don't lead tasks, you lead people. Why emotional intelligence is critical in modern leadership. In today's world, teams are diverse. Work is fast-paced. Stress levels are high. Remote work increases emotional disconnect. Technical expertise is not enough. The leaders who succeed today create psychological safety, handle conflict maturely, communicate with clarity and empathy, stay calm during crises. Think about crisis situations: economic downturn, project failure, public criticism. People don't just look for strategy, they look for emotional stability. Your emotional state sets the tone for the entire team. As a leader, you are an emotional thermostat. If you panic, the room panics. If you stay grounded, the team stabilizes. Real-world leadership examples. Consider leaders like Satya Nadella transforming Microsoft's culture through empathy, Jacinda Ardern leading with compassion during national crises, Nelson Mandela demonstrating emotional control after decades of imprisonment. They did not lead through fear, they led through emotional strength, and that is the difference. Emotional intelligence in difficult conversations. Let's take a practical leadership scenario. You must give negative feedback. Low EQ approach. You failed. This is unacceptable. High EQ approach. I want to discuss what happened and how we can improve together. Notice. Tone changes. Emotional impact changes. Relationship outcome changes. Emotionally intelligent feedback. Focuses on behavior, not identity. Balances honesty with respect. Encourages growth. Emotional contagion in leadership. Emotions spread. This is scientifically proven. If a leader walks into the office anxious and irritated, within minutes, energy drops, communication tightens, creativity decreases. But if a leader brings calm confidence, energy rises, collaboration increases, problem-solving improves. Your emotional discipline is not personal, it is organizational. How to develop emotional intelligence as a leader. The good news? EQ can be developed. Here's how. Practice reflection. Ask yourself daily, what triggered me today? How did I react? How could I respond better next time? Ask for feedback. Do I react defensively? Do I listen well? Courageous leaders invite emotional feedback. Slow down your reactions. When triggered, pause, breathe, respond, don't react. Improve active listening. Listen to understand, not to reply. Increase emotional vocabulary. Instead of saying, I'm stressed, ask, am I frustrated, overwhelmed, disappointed, anxious? Clarity improves control. Emotional intelligence and advanced leadership mastery. At advanced leadership levels, EQ becomes even more critical. Why? Because decisions affect more people, visibility increases, pressure multiplies, conflict becomes strategic. At senior levels, technical mistakes may be forgiven. Emotional immaturity is not. The higher you rise, the more emotional intelligence determines your impact. Final thought for you. Let me leave you with this. Leadership is not about controlling people. It is about managing energy, starting with your own. Your intelligence may get you promoted, but your emotional intelligence will determine whether people choose to follow you. So I invite you, start observing your emotional patterns. Notice your triggers. Practice empathy intentionally. Regulate before you react. Because great leaders do not eliminate emotions. They master them. And that is what advanced leadership truly means. Self-awareness and personal leadership style. If leadership starts anywhere, it starts here, with you. Before you can lead a team, an organization, or a movement, you must understand the person in the mirror. In this lesson, we'll explore what self-awareness really means, why it is the foundation of leadership mastery, and how you can identify and refine your personal leadership style. Let's go deep. What is self-awareness in leadership? Self-awareness is the ability to accurately understand your strengths, your weaknesses, your emotions, your triggers, your values, your impact on others. It's not just knowing yourself, it's understanding how you show up in different situations, especially under pressure. A self-aware leader can answer questions like, how do I react when I'm stressed? Do I become controlling, withdrawn, aggressive, defensive? What kind of energy do I bring into meetings? How do people feel after interacting with me? Let me give you an example. Imagine two managers facing the same crisis. A project deadline is about to be missed. Manager A panics, raises their voice, blames the team, and sends late-night angry emails. Manager B feels the same stress, but pauses, reflects, and asks, "What part of this is under my control? How can I support the team right now?" Both feel stress, only one is self-aware. Self-awareness does not remove emotions. It gives you control over how you respond to them. Why self-awareness is the foundation of leadership? Let's be honest. You can learn strategy, you can learn planning, you can learn communication techniques, but if you don't understand your inner world, your blind spots will sabotage your leadership. Many leadership failures are not about lack of intelligence, they are about lack of self-awareness. For example, a leader who thinks they are decisive may actually be perceived as authoritarian. A leader who believes they are easygoing may be seen as weak or unclear. A leader who prides themselves on high standards may unknowingly demotivate their team. Without self-awareness, intention and impact don't match. And leadership is not about your intention, it's about your impact. The two dimensions of self-awareness. Psychologists often divide self-awareness into two parts. Internal self-awareness. How well you understand your own values, passions, reactions, and goals. Example, you know that recognition motivates you. You know that criticism triggers defensiveness. You know that autonomy is one of your core values. External self-awareness. How well you understand how others see you. Example, you think you are clear. Your team thinks you are confusing. You think you are approachable. Your team finds you intimidating. True leadership growth begins when you close the gap between how you see yourself and how others experience you. That requires courage. Personal leadership style. What does that mean? Your leadership style is your natural pattern of behavior when influencing others. It includes how you make decisions, how you communicate, how you handle conflict, how you motivate people, how you respond to failure, how you use authority. Your leadership style is shaped by your personality, your upbringing, your cultural background, your professional experiences, your role models. But here's the key idea. Your style should be conscious, not accidental. Examples of leadership styles. Let's briefly explore some common leadership styles. Autocratic leadership. Winston Churchill is often cited as a leader who demonstrated strong directive leadership during wartime. Characteristics: quick decision-making, strong authority, clear command structure. Strength: effective in crisis. Risk: can suppress creativity and autonomy. Democratic leadership. Nelson Mandela exemplified inclusive leadership. Characteristics: seeks input, encourages participation, values consensus. Strength: builds trust and ownership. Risk: slower decision-making. Transformational leadership. Steve Jobs inspired innovation through vision. Characteristics: strong vision, emotional inspiration, high expectations. Strength: drives change and innovation. Risk: can overlook operational details. Now here's the important question. Which one are you? Most leaders are not purely one style. You likely have a dominant style with secondary tendencies, but the real mastery lies in flexibility. The danger of unconscious leadership. Let me give you a practical scenario. You believe you are a supportive leader, but under stress, you micromanage. You start checking every detail. You stop delegating. You correct small mistakes publicly. Your team becomes silent. What happened? Your unconscious fear of failure took control. Without self-awareness, stress reveals your shadow side. Self-aware leaders anticipate their own patterns. They say, when I'm stressed, I tend to control. I need to slow down. That awareness changes everything. How to develop self-awareness. Now let's move into practical tools. Reflection practice. At the end of each week, ask yourself, what situations triggered strong emotions? How did I respond? What would I improve next time? Did my behavior align with my values? Leadership growth requires reflection, not just experience. Experience without reflection equals repetition. Experience with reflection equals growth. Feedback. Ask trusted colleagues, what is one strength I consistently show? What is one behavior that limits my effectiveness? How do you experience me during conflict? Listen without defending yourself. Feedback is not an attack, it is data. Emotional awareness. Notice physical signals: tight shoulders, faster heartbeat, shorter patience. Your body often signals emotional shifts before your mind does. Pause. Name the emotion, then choose your response. That pause is leadership. Aligning leadership style with values. A powerful leader is aligned. If you value transparency but avoid difficult conversations, your leadership lacks integrity. If you value collaboration but dominate discussions, there is misalignment. Self-awareness allows you to ask, is my behavior consistent with who I want to be? Leadership mastery is not about copying others. It is about leading in a way that is authentic and effective. Adaptive leadership, the advanced level. As you progress in this course, you will realize the best leaders are not rigid, they adapt. In a crisis, you may need decisiveness. In innovation, you may need collaboration. In conflict, you may need empathy. In execution, you may need structure. Self-awareness gives you control. Self-mastery gives you flexibility. And flexibility is the hallmark of advanced leadership. Final reflection for you. Let me ask you 3 powerful questions. What leadership behavior of mine creates the most positive impact? What behavior creates unintended negative impact? Who do I want to become as a leader in the next 5 years? Write your answers. Leadership transformation begins with honesty. Dear friends, self-awareness is not a soft skill. It is a strategic advantage. The most dangerous leader is the one who doesn't know themselves. The most powerful leader is the one who does. As we continue our journey from fundamentals to advanced leadership mastery, remember, before you lead others, you must lead yourself. And that journey begins within.